Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we are going to be looking at something a little bit different. We're diving into an audio clip. And the title of this thing is wild. It's called EMF Broadcast Mind Control Neural Monitoring Intercourse Explained. What They Don't Want You to Know. .mp3.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
it's quite a mouthful. And, as you might guess from the title, the claims in this clip are pretty out there. But that's kind of what makes it perfect for a deep dive. We're going to listen closely to this thing, try to figure out what's going on, and see if we can make any sense of these pretty unusual ideas about technology.
And its potential misuse.
Yeah, it's
And
going
it is fascinating to me how, even with such a sensationalized title, this audio clip actually does reflect some real anxieties that people have about technology. Fears about privacy and control and the potential for misuse of all this new tech. Those are definitely themes I think we'll want to unpack today.
For sure. To kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, the speaker in this audio describes a world where what they call game stalkers are using advanced technology for some pretty unsettling purposes.
Gang stalking. That's a really key part of all this.
Yeah.
This is a whole belief system where people think they're being targeted and harassed by a group. And often they think technology is being used as part of that harassment.
Right. And in this case, the speaker is claiming that these gang stalkers are using neuromonitoring technology to tap into people's brain waves. Like they're saying that these gang stalkers can basically experience someone else's senses, their thoughts, and even their feelings. They even use terms like EEGs, which are real brainwave measurement tools, to kind of make it sound more scientific.
And that's what makes this so interesting from a scientific perspective. Researchers are making some pretty incredible progress in understanding brain signals, using EEGs and brain-computer interfaces, but we are nowhere near the level of mind reading or remote control that the speaker is describing. I think it's important to distinguish between what's actually plausible scientifically and what's just pure speculation.
Right. So we can maybe detect some patterns in brain activity, but we're definitely not at a point where we can just decode someone's thoughts or remotely control their actions or anything like that. But the speaker doesn't stop there. They go on to describe these specific devices that these gang stalkers are allegedly using, like EMF headsets, which they call mind control devices.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And according to the speaker, these devices can amplify brain signals and even broadcast experiences, leading to what they call mind control sex.
Mind control sex?
Both virtual and physical.
Wow.
Yeah. They even describe EMF holograms and broadcast suits that can induce catatonic sleep states. It's all very...
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
I mean, it's important to remember that these descriptions are highly speculative. They don't have any basis in current scientific understanding.
Right. They even talk about a supposed underground tape industry among gang stalkers,
So they
which,
just-
honestly,
Sure.
just adds to the whole sensationalism of this thing. And to make it even more personal, the speaker names specific people that they claim are involved in all of this, like individuals named Marcus, Antoine, Kimberly, and Emily. And they describe these individuals' activities in pretty vivid detail. It makes it sound like they have inside knowledge of this supposed underground world.
Giving those specific names and details like that does make the story more compelling, for sure. And it creates this sense of a personalized threat for the listener. But again, there is just no verifiable evidence to support any of these claims. It's a classic example of how misinformation can spread, especially when it taps into those pre-existing fears and anxieties.
So we've got this audio clip filled with all these claims about mind control, sensory manipulation, and even virtual sex, all using this EMF technology. It's this wild mix of scientific jargon, specific details, and unsettling scenarios. But how much of this is even remotely possible? What does science actually say about EMF technology and how it can be used?
That is the core question here. It's true that the human brain does generate electromagnetic fields. But the idea that somebody could remotely control another person's thoughts, feelings, and actions through EMF manipulation, it's just far beyond anything that we know to be scientifically possible.
Right. The gap between this speaker's claims and what we know to be true about technology is pretty huge. But it makes you wonder what might be driving these beliefs. Could there be other factors at play here, like underlying mental health conditions that might contribute to these perceptions?
That's a really important consideration. Obviously, it's not our place to diagnose anyone, but it is crucial to recognize that paranoia, delusions, and anxieties about technology can manifest in ways that might lead someone to believe they're being targeted or controlled.
That's a good point. It reminds us to approach these topics with some sensitivity and understanding, recognizing that mental health issues can play a big role here. It's not about dismissing these claims as crazy. It's about trying to understand the complexities of human experience. especially in relation to technology.
It's important to acknowledge, though, that even though the claims in this audio clip are highly improbable, they do tap into some very real fears that people have about technology
Yeah.
and its potential for misuse.
Right.
The speaker's anxieties, while extreme, kind of echo broader societal concerns about privacy control and just the rapid advancement of technology.
Yeah, it's like they've taken those everyday anxieties we all have about being tracked online and targeted by ads and just like bombarded with information and turned it into this like dystopian nightmare scenario. They even talk about how these gang stalkers broadcast their experiences,
Okay.
creating like EMF holograms to interact with others virtually.
That idea of like forced immersion, of
Yeah.
having someone else's experiences and perceptions just like imposed on you without your consent, it's really unsettling.
Yeah.
It speaks to, I think, a fundamental fear of losing control, of having our own thoughts and experiences manipulated by these outside forces.
For sure.
That's a theme that has popped up throughout history, from ancient myths to modern anxieties about surveillance and social media algorithms.
So even if the technology described is pure fantasy, the underlying anxieties about technology's potential for manipulation and control, those are very real.
Absolutely.
Especially when you think about how our lives are increasingly intertwined with the digital world. Our smartphones track our movements, social media algorithms shape what we see, and artificial intelligence is becoming more and more sophisticated. It's not surprising that some people feel uneasy, even paranoid, about where all of this is heading.
Absolutely. And this audio clip, in a way,
Yeah.
highlights that tension between the incredible potential of technology and the very real risks associated with it.
Yeah.
This speaker might represent an extreme case, but their fears do touch on some broader societal concerns about the erosion of privacy and the potential for technology to be used against individuals.
One aspect of this audio clip that I found particularly disturbing was the focus on sex. Why do you think this theme is so prominent in the speaker's narrative?
That's a really insightful observation. It speaks to the deeply personal nature of the anxieties that we're talking about here. Sex is often seen as like the ultimate expression of vulnerability and intimacy.
Right.
And the idea that someone could violate that space, could remotely access and manipulate your most private experiences, that is deeply unsettling.
Yeah, for sure.
It taps into, I think, our deepest fears about losing control over our own bodies and minds.
The speaker even describes these like mind control orgies,
Hmm.
where multiple people are supposedly linked together through this technology, experiencing each other's feelings and sensations. It's a very disturbing twist on the concept of connection and shared experience, turning it into something invasive and exploitative.
Yeah, it's like a perversion of intimacy,
Hmm.
using technology to control and manipulate rather than to connect and empower.
Right.
The speaker even uses the phrase on mind control, as if that somehow makes it consensual, which
Yeah.
further highlights the unsettling nature of these claims.
Yeah.
It raises some important questions, I think, about the nature of consent in a world where technology can blur the lines between reality and perception.
It's like this audio clip,
Right.
while obviously based on completely fictional technology, serves as a cautionary tale about the potential dark side of technological advancement.
Mm-hmm.
It forces us to confront the ways in which our anxieties and vulnerabilities can be exploited. It underscores the need for ongoing conversations about ethics, privacy, and just the responsible development and use of technology.
Exactly. We need to be, I think, more mindful and proactive in shaping the future that we want to see. As technology continues to evolve at this incredible pace, it's crucial that we prioritize individual rights, privacy, and mental well-being.
Right.
We need to be critical consumers of information, be able to discern fact from fiction, and advocate for ethical and responsible uses of technology that empower individuals rather than exploit them.
So, as we move towards the final part of this deep dive, I'm curious to hear what's resonating most with you, the listener. What stands out to you from what we've discussed so far? It's amazing how this one audio clip has sparked such a deep conversation about our relationship with technology. It's like we peeled back the layers of this kind of bizarre story and found some really thought-provoking questions underneath.
Yeah, what strikes me is how the anxieties that are expressed in this audio clip, while rooted in fictional technology, really do mirror some very real concerns that people have about the direction we're heading in as a society. This idea of technology kind of outpacing our ability to control it, to safeguard ourselves from its potential misuse. It's a powerful one.
And weaving those anxieties into a narrative about sex and violation makes it all the more disturbing. It really forces you to consider the potential for technology to not just intrude on our privacy, but to fundamentally alter our experiences and sense of self.
It brings to mind the ethical dilemmas we're already grappling with in fields like artificial intelligence and virtual reality. As these technologies become more sophisticated, more immersive, the line between our physical and digital lives is going to become even more blurred.
It makes you wonder, at what point does influence become manipulation? Where do we draw the line between enhancing our experiences with technology and having those experiences controlled by outside forces?
That's the question, isn't it? Imagine a world where technology could not only track your thoughts and emotions, but potentially alter them as well.
Whoa.
What happens to individual autonomy in that scenario?
It's a bit mind-boggling to consider. And while we're not facing those exact scenarios from the audio clip right now, it does make you wonder if we're already ceding too much control to technology without fully understanding the potential consequences.
We are constantly sharing data about ourselves, our preferences, our behaviors, and that data is being used to shape our online experiences, to target us with advertising, and even to predict our future actions.
So this audio clip, as strange as it is, serves as a reminder to be more mindful of our relationship with technology, to think critically about how our data is being used, and to demand greater transparency and control over our digital lives.
Absolutely. And it highlights the importance of fostering media literacy, being able to distinguish between credible information and just sensationalized claims, to be skeptical of narratives that prey on our fears and anxieties.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of, I don't know, cautious optimism, I guess. Technology has incredible potential to improve our lives, but it's up to us to make sure that we're using it responsibly and ethically. We need to be active participants in shaping the future we want to see, a future where technology empowers us rather than exploits us.
I completely agree. This deep dive has been a good reminder that technology is a double-edged sword. It can connect and empower, but it can also manipulate and control. And the choices we make today will determine which path we take.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of a very unusual audio clip. We hope it sparked some important questions and encouraged you to think more critically about the role of technology in our lives. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep the conversation going.